Okay, this is a map here of all of the Hebrews and Jews that's been scattered throughout the world here. And our main objective here is to try to bring these people back into the land of Israel. And you can see this is Nigeria, Ephraim, and Ghana here. And you can see here Levi, and you can see the route that we know. You see the people of Yahweh in Darfur, and then up into southern Sudan you see the Hebrew people, and Elephantine you see the Jews, and you see up into the land of Israel. So this is the route that we've indicated the people travel, and then from there you have the slave port to the Americas. And you can see from there that goes off the Ethiopians and then down into Zimbabwe here. Now most of the people on this route here has been, and as you can see from this route, you can see most of where the tribes of Levi, or the tribes of Israel, were supposed to be scattered in this area here. But they went down into Africa. In the book of Jeremiah, you see that most of the tribes of Judah and parts of the tribes of Ephraim that were still left in the land during the time. So this is the area where you see scripturally where most of Judah would have been found, which would have been in Africa, based upon the book of Jeremiah. And when you look here, you see that most of the children of Israel, stretching all the way to China, would have. Okay, from the books here of Kings, and in Israel here, you would have seen that they were scattered in this area here, where you can see predominantly of the Hebrew people, or the Jewish people, were found in these areas in Afghanistan, all the way even into China, which is according to the scriptures. And some have went down into India.
Formed communities there were the Sumerians, and they changed the world. They were among the first to survive not just as hunters and gatherers, but as farmers. They developed the first systems of irrigation. This is an old map of irrigation ditches. They were the first to use wheeled vehicles to help get crops to market. And to keep track of inventory, they invented writing. Early writing was symbolic. This might denote the trade of 2 oxen. But later symbols stood for sounds and became the basis of the first alphabet. Writing allowed the Sumerians to communicate. This is a letter in its own crude envelope. Sumerians practiced medicine. This is an old prescription tablet. They were among the first to study the stars, which helped them draw true maps and predict the weather. And Mesopotamia was where people first started to live together in cities, first created the idea of a king. The Babylonian king Hammurabi found one of the earliest sets of laws, defining crimes, specifying punishments. And from this one corner of the world come many of the oldest stories known. The Garden of Eden was said to be somewhere in Mesopotamia. The city of Ur is the birthplace of Abraham. Near the city of Nineveh, the burial place of Jonah. And the Iraqi government has been trying to reconstruct the famous Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The war has stopped work there and at other ancient sites, many of which are near key Iraqi military bases or weapons facilities. The U.S. military has said its pilots will try to spare these sites, but archaeologists are afraid that the priceless treasures of thousands of years could be destroyed in seconds. The ancient people of Mesopotamia knew all about war. Fighting was a part of their lives, just as it is once again.
As you know, Germany a few days ago made another contribution so that widens the map even further. Are people contributing anything besides money and troops?
Yes, there are countries, for example, that are providing medical supplies, and that puts South Korea on the map, and the Philippines, and Singapore. And you could add the Soviet Union, which very significantly has played a major political role. And as you can see, like those ripples in the pond, and as you mentioned at the top of the show, the global village, matters keep expanding.
And some countries, just by their strategic position, have been affected as well.
Well, there's obviously the risk. When you take a position in a matter like this, you are exposed to the actions of the combatants, and that's true for both sides. At the moment, Western countries particularly very concerned about terrorism. There has been terrorism in various countries, in Greece, in Turkey, and even as far afield as the Philippines. So that, too, is a factor.
And what's going on in the Arab and Muslim worlds? There have been ripples there as well.
Yes, in fact, this conflict not only has the potential to change the political geography of the world, but it could recast the cultural geography of the Arab and Muslim world. On this map, in a very general way, the red you see here, this dark color, is the Arab world, the Muslim world beyond the Arab world, including also Africans and non-Arabs in the Muslim world, all the way to Indonesia. This is the area that is most directly involved. Here we have countries inside the alliance and outside. For example, we have next to each other Senegal, a member of the alliance, Mauritania opposed to it, Morocco, which has sent troops, Algeria, which is opposed, Tunisia opposed, Egypt supporting. So you have all these conflicts inside the alliance. Beyond, well, there have been demonstrations in support of Saddam, in fact, blood drives and registrations to support Saddam in Pakistan, and even as far afield as Malaysia and Indonesia.
What about the countries that have not aligned themselves yet, some big countries?
It's possible that India, for example, has allowed us to land troops, land airplanes on the way without actually getting involved. Turkey, right on the border, has gotten involved simply by virtue of its location. There is no telling what countries may get to be involved. It may be much harder to stop this war, Miriam, than it was to start it.
It sure sounds like it, and it's becoming more and more clear that it's becoming difficult to stand on the fence here.
This task force works around the clock to keep Operation Solomon on schedule. More than 1,000 Jewish Agency volunteers, including many former immigrants, working and waiting for parents he hasn't seen in years. On the morning of May 25th, the story of the Exodus finally breaks. Jews and non-Jews around the world are swept up in a wave of emotion. 36 hours and 41 round trips later, the last plane carries exhausted Jewish Agency staffers back to Israel. They are the heroes of Operation Solomon.
I thought that we will feel like heroes.
The airlift is history, but the human drama continues. A desperate search begins for long-lost loved ones. For Avram Zaro and his brother, an eternity of longing comes to an end. The story is repeated over and over again. Each embrace brings reflections on the past and the future.
We always said we'd reach Israel one day. What our forefathers dreamed, we would do. So we prayed, and God heard our prayers.
I hope my children will have everything I didn't have.
Now we are in Israel. We are Jews. God is one.
To be an Israeli is to touch a dream. That's what I always dreamed of. Now I'm in Israel, free. I know what Israel is. I'm an Israeli.
Ethiopian and in Israel. And what's happening here, this here is a 1,500. Okay, yes. This is Jesus.